The Dancing Plague of 1518, when a town danced itself to death. In the sweltering July heat of 1518, a lone woman stumbled into Strasbourg Square and began dancing as if her life depended on it. Within days, dozens more joined her, their bodies convulsing not to music, but to some invisible force tearing at their muscles. The town's desperate cure, musicians and stages, only fed the frenzy, turning the streets into a grotesque carnival of exhaustion and death. By summer's end, the cobblestones were slick with blood and sweat, and the survivors could only whisper, "What made them dance?" Strasbourg was already a city on the edge. Harvests had failed, plague lurked in the gutters, and the poor chewed bark to silence their hunger. When Frau Trophia took those first jerking steps, onlookers assumed she was possessed, until her husband joined her, then their neighbors, then strangers. Doctors bled patients to cool their blood. Priests swung censers filled with purifying smoke. Neither could break the dancer's trance. The town council's fatal mistake, believing the dancers needed more music, hiring pipers to play faster, as if speed could exhaust the curse. Children mimicked their parents' spasms, their small bodies giving out first. Some died still twitching in their mother's arms. And through it all, the question hung like rot in the air. Was this divine punishment, or something far older, far darker, stirring beneath their feet? The dancing plague exploded. Within a week, over 100 people were convulsing in the streets. They danced for days without sleep, their toenails cracked off, some chewed their own tongues in exhaustion. The town hired guards to contain them, but the guards soon joined, dropping their weapons to twitch uncontrollably. Doctors prescribed wine and herbs. The dancers gulped them down and kept moving, now drunk and delirious. Children joined in, elderly joined in, even stray dogs seemed to mimic the jerking motions. The church declared it a sin. Priests rang bells to drown out the dancers' screams. It didn't help. Some tried tying victims down. They broke free, their muscles tearing as they fought to keep dancing. By peak summer, death carts hauled bodies daily, yet the survivors kept dancing over fresh graves. This wasn't the first dancing plague. In 1374, Germany saw similar outbreaks, but none as deadly. Some blamed St. Vitus' curse, others whispered of ergot fungus, the same poison that caused witch trial hallucinations. Strasbourg's leaders were desperate. They banned the sick from entering churches, fearing divine wrath. Scientists today suggest mass psychogenic illness, extreme stress and starvation could have triggered a collective breakdown. But why dancing? Medieval Europe feared dance as much as sin. Some thought it invited demonic possession. The town's musicians were paid extra. Their tunes were meant to soothe, yet the feverish tempo only fueled the mania. Records mention dancing until the bones poked through. Some victims' feet were just stumps by the end. No cure worked, not prayers, not medicine. The plague burned out only when the last dancer dropped dead. Modern psychologists call it mass psychogenic illness, a frenzy fed by fear, not fungi. Starvation's grip on Strasbourg was real. Malnutrition could have sparked seizures mistaken for dancing. Ergot poisoning from rotten rye, it causes hallucinations, but not this relentless physical exertion. Stress-induced trance states might explain it. Extreme trauma can hijack the nervous system. Witnesses described rapture-like focus. Were they trapped in a collective dissociative episode? Sleep deprivation worsens hysteria. After days without rest, reality itself would unravel. Social contagion played a role. Fear is viral, and so was the compulsion to mimic the dancers. Yet why dancing? In medieval Europe, dance symbolized sin and chaos, the perfect outlet for panic. No single theory fits. It was a perfect storm: hunger, fear, and the power of suggestion. Even today, doctors debate it. The dancing plague remains a warning about the mind's fragility. A monk's journal described screams harmonizing with the lute music, as if hell's choir sang. One chronicler wrote of a bride dancing at her wedding, then collapsing dead before the vows. Survivors recalled the smell, sweat, blood, and rotting flesh from unwashed dying dancers. Children imitated their parents' spasms. Some laughed, others sobbed, too weak to break free. A baker claimed dancers' eyes were glass like a fish on shore, seeing nothing yet moving endlessly. The rich barricaded indoors. Through shutters, they watched neighbors drop like puppets with cut strings. Some dancers begged to be knocked unconscious, others bit those who tried to restrain them. At night, the town echoed with moans, not from pain, but from dancers too exhausted to scream. A gravedigger's ledger listed dance to death as cause for 15 victims in 1 week alone. Then, as suddenly as it began, the dancing stopped. The survivors could only whisper, "Why us?" The dancing plague vanished as mysteriously as it began, leaving physicians baffled and priests suspicious. No single cause explains why it started, or why it suddenly stopped after 2 deadly months. Modern brain scans show how stress can trigger involuntary movements, but not entire communities. Some victims recovered with no memory of dancing, others died whispering about the music in their bones. Archaeologists still search mass graves for clues. Did ergot poison them, or was it pure madness? The town burned records of the plague. Were they hiding something, or just ashamed of their failure? Even the musicians disappeared. Some say they fled, others claim the dancers dragged them to their graves. Strasbourg rebuilt, but locals avoided music for decades, fearing it might wake the plague again. Scientists recently recreated the conditions, starvation, stress, but couldn't replicate the dancing trance. The truth may be simplest. Sometimes the human mind breaks in ways we'll never fully understand. Today, Strasbourg's dancing street bears no plaque, only uneven cobbles from thousands of frantic feet. The plague inspired horror films and novels, always asking, could it happen again in our connected world? TikTok trends and flash mobs playfully echo the tragedy, though few know their dark ancestry. Neurologists study it as the ultimate case of mass hysteria, a warning about crowd psychology's power. Every few years, new theories emerge. Was it epilepsy, mass poisoning, a forgotten disease? Tourists sometimes claim they feel a strange urge to dance when visiting the old town square. The last survivor's diary ends abruptly. I hear the music again tonight. God help me resist. In 2021, a similar outbreak hit Mozambique. Dozens danced for days, the cause still unknown. Perhaps the plague never truly ended. It just waits for the right mix of fear and desperation. Next time you can't stop moving to a song, remember Strasbourg and wonder. The dancing plague endures as history's most chilling epidemic, a warning carved not in stone but in the frantic movements of its victims. Scientists still chase explanations, but Strasbourg's darkest secret may forever lie buried beneath those blood-stained streets. What began as one woman's mysterious compulsion became a mirror for humanity's deepest fears, of losing control, of the unknown. When you hear music today, pause and listen closely. Sometimes the past's rhythm lingers louder than we dare admit. Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating stories from Recall the Chronicles. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.